Welcome to Building the Future, hosted by Kevin Horick. With millions of listeners a month, Building the Future has quickly become one of the fastest rising programs, with a focus on interviewing startups, entrepreneurs, investors, CEOs, and more. The radio and TV show airs in 15 markets across the globe, including Silicon Valley. For full showtimes, past episodes, or to sponsor the show, please visit buildingthefutureshow.com.
Welcome back to the show. Today we have Matt Johnner. He's the president of Participate. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you having me back. It's been a few years.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back on the show. I was looking before we started chatting. You were on the show October 2017. So lots has happened. I'm curious to know where you're at now. I'm excited to learn about your new product, Participate. But maybe before we get into that, can you give us a little bit of a background on yourself, maybe where you grew up, where you went to school, and then we'll dive into Bank Labs and then Participate?
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, so grew up in upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountains, very remote area on Joe Indian Lake. And we still go back there every summer. Beautiful place, but quite cold. And New York doesn't have a ton of economic opportunity. So went to Texas A&M University, subsequently went over to the Middle East and West Africa as a petroleum engineer for Baroid, a division of Halliburton. And then made my way back to the United States, went to work for Ross Perot Sr. in 1994 at Perot Systems. And that's how I got here to Dallas and still here in Dallas.
Very cool. So walk us through Bank Labs' history up until coming up with Participate, and then let's dive into that.
Yeah, it sounds good. So Bank Labs was created by Mike Montgomery, my partner, who's our chairman and CEO. And he is a longtime community banker and bemoaning the lack of technology, especially on the commercial side for banks, and how community banks really are the crown jewel of the U.S. financial system. Sure. And so he wanted to support them from a strategy and technology perspective. And how do we help those community banks succeed? And we view community banks as a definition of not a matter of size or location, but a matter of doing business. Do you utilize in-market relationship-based bankers? If so, then you could be a $600 billion bank or a $1 trillion bank and really try to be that community bank. But most of the banks in the U.S. are, 80+% are not those. They're truly oriented more around the community. And so we develop at Bank Labs multiple products and an innovation framework that help community banks generate more loans, generate more deposits, generate more non-interest fee income, or improve the experience for the borrower.
Okay, that's really cool. So walk us through coming up with the idea for Participate, and then what exactly is it?
Yeah, Participate is our second product out of the Bank Labs franchise. The first product that Bank Labs came out with in January of 2016 was construction loan automation, a product called Construct. We bootstrapped that over 6.5 years to have 80 billion in construction loans on the platform and over 100,000. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of gray hair. Bootstraps, as you know, not easy to do, but great team. We're proud of them. Learned a lot together and ultimately sold that product, not the company, but the product Construct to Abrigo in August of 2022. Part two or product two out of the Bank Labs Innovation Lab is a product called Participate, which is what we're 100% focused on now. And we launched a new company in June of 2023, whereby Bank Labs took a minority investment from Jam FinTop, some great investors that raised their money from their limited partners, who are primarily banks that want research and development labs, want to be able to influence new technology products and see what's coming out, but also, make a good financial return like any private equity investment. So June 2023, just to recap, Bank Labs spun out a new co called Participate. Bank Labs is a majority owner and Jam FinTop are the minority owners in conjunction with employee ownership.
Okay. So let's dive a little bit deeper into Participate and what exactly does it do and how does it automate kind of loan trading?
Yeah, Participate automates the process of loan participation, meaning when a bank or non-bank lender wants to do a loan, but it's too big or maybe they have too much concentration risk with that borrower, or they have too many of those loan types, maybe commercial real estate, for example, then it's been quite common to manually participate out loans to other buyers, to other downstream participants. And historically, that's been done by you, a lender, calling your buddies down the street who you went to banking school with or you play golf with or whatnot. Very much a good old boy network, which inherently is not bad, but it does create a lot of inefficient processes for the lender, who in this environment have to call 20 banks before they can get one or two to agree to buy a piece of that loan. And if that originator can't do that loan, then they run the risk of losing that borrower to a bigger competitor. And if you lose borrowers time after time, then you start to lose lending teams. And if you lose lending teams as a bank, that's really, really bad. So we automate that front office process with a cloud-based secure process. We have 2 patents on it already. When the loan closes, what makes us really unique is we do the back office loan participation, servicing, and automation. So when a loan is sold successfully from one originator to 3 or 4 downstream participants, then we give everybody shared real-time cloud-based balances, transaction history. Our system manages all the email and in-app notifications to the buyers when the buyers need to fund that loan or they're getting payments for their pro rata share. We manage all the variable interest rates, et cetera. So from a business strategy perspective, it allows banks to keep lending, keep their lenders lending, generate that non-interest fee income, build a more profitable bank. Also allows them to do new loan types if they're the buyers than maybe they've ever done before. So if you're a bank that has a heavy commercial real estate portfolio, and you want some commercial and industrial loans, C&I loans, or maybe ag loans, or maybe franchise loans, then what Participate allows you to do as a buyer is to buy into those loans where you don't have lenders that know how to do those loans. So your lenders may know how to do commercial real estate loans, but they may not know how to do C&I loans or have those relationships. So Participate allows the buy side to diversify their loan mix, reduce their concentration risk, and get into high quality loans.
Okay. So how do you mitigate people's risks by investing in these types of loans?
Yeah. So first of all, we work with banks primarily, also credit unions, some farm
Okay.
credits, and more private lenders. So we work with high quality originators that are highly regulated for the most part with regard to
Okay.
banks, credit unions. And so the originator is originating that loan. We're not a broker dealer. We're facilitating the introduction of the originators with potential buyers, and our technology is transacting it. So we're not a broker dealer in that case.
Okay. So then how do you monetize the platform?
Yeah, great question. So we charge a software as a service fee for the
Okay.
value of the automation to the originator. So we're originating the front end when you're selling off a loan, whether it's a new loan or an existing on balance sheet credit. There's no reason you can't use Participate to sell off some of your existing loans.
Okay.
And when it closes, then we automate all the back office work, and that can happen for over 7 years. So these term loans
Oh,
can
wow.
last. So for the value of all that automation and the bank not having to hire new people as they scale their loans, or allowing folks to retire or move tasks off folks to more valuable tasks, then Participate has a lot of value there. So we charge a software as a service fee for that. Additionally, we charge a BIPS fee, a basis points fee on the portion of loans sold. And we have a couple models that our clients can play with to either have a higher or lower SaaS fee or BIPS fee based on what their personality is and their objective is.
Okay. So for people that have maybe never done these types of loans before that are looking to get into this, how much time and effort is Participate actually saving them? Because that's where your real value is, correct? Or am I missing the boat on that?
No, absolutely. So there's a ton of efficiency with it, and it's also the second piece of value is we bring buy side clubs. So we
Okay.
curate clubs of new buyers that were never known to those originating banks or credit unions.
Right.
So that curated buy side capital stack is what we're providing, not just the automation. So banks are saving hours and hours and hours of lenders calling their buddies down the street trying to find people to buy into this loan. Our technology allows you to publish a loan in as little as 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Have it digitally transact, e-signature, integrated legal agreements, integrated subscription management, secure document sharing. So just a tremendous amount of time savings for the lender, the lending assistant, the credit officer. And then when the loan closes, just a ton, hours and hours and hours a week and month of savings for the loan ops staff, who no longer have to keep their own spreadsheets of what each of the buyers' pro rata share is each time they get a borrower payment for principal and interest. So tons of time on efficiency, as you pointed out. You nailed that. And then in addition, for lenders that want to originate loans and have run out of their typical buyers, we're introducing them to new buyers. So we're providing new capital stacks, new capital streams. And we're now layering in more and more intense technology to evaluate lenders' balance sheets and make recommendations of what they should consider selling and buying to optimize, their net income, their net interest margin, their non-interest fee income, that type of thing.
Interesting. Okay. So do I need to be in a certain geographic region, or how does this kind of work?
Yeah, no, we're 100% across the United States right now.
Okay.
We're sticking to the US for now, but I think we're in 42 states already.
Oh, wow.
Transacting for our originating clients or managing their loans. It's been a very fast process, and we're trying to leverage what's called Metcalfe's law, the value of a network expansion. It's how mobile phone networks and the Cisco internet equipment worked in that day and age. It's where when we sign one originating financial institution, we automate all their existing loan participations they did before they knew about us. So we load all those in a day. And that allows the back office to immediately begin benefiting from our software on the 30, 40, 50, 100 deals they had that predated us. And so what we do is we then leverage that network effect. We give free access to those buyers of our client for those legacy loans, who now get real-time balances, real-time transaction history, email notifications, in-app notifications. So that's part of the reason we've been able to grow so quickly, is leveraging that network effect, or what is called Metcalfe's law.
So I actually think there's really good advice in there. So just so you basically will go, you're in 42 states. I want to get to that in a second. You obviously had to go through a bunch of hurdles just to be live in every state. But I think what's really valuable that you just mentioned is if you spend your own time and resources importing their current and past deals, because then they can see how easy to use the system is. They want to use your system, keep using your system, and then anything new they're bringing into the system. Is that fair to say?
Yep, 100% correct. And it's not just the originator that's seeing the benefit.
Right.
In the regulatory environment, the buyers are required by the federal regulators to also keep a balance of what they think they should be paid by the originating institution. So what they think they should get paid for principal and interest. And bear in mind, a lot of these are variable interest rate loans, so it changes every time a payment is made. And the core technologies do not do much in terms of this functionality. Almost none of them can do notifications. Most of them can do the principal and interest split when a borrower drops off a payment in a bank, but that's it. So 99.5% of a loan participation or loan syndication or club deal is managed in our software, and it gives those downstream buy side free access to their balances. So imagine you're a VP of loan ops at a buyer, whether you're a credit union or a bank, and you have to keep your own spreadsheet for all the transactions that your folks have bought from that originating financial institution. It's a lot of work, and there is almost never a scenario where at the end of the loan, everybody's on the same page in balances. So then there has to be forensic accounting. Sometimes there's settlement fees or charge-offs. Somebody owes somebody money. And then think about the reputational risk if you're constantly having to negotiate with the balances at the end of a loan. It creates friction. At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to fix. We're trying to democratize loan trading by reducing friction in the loan trading process, both on the front and the back. And you have to have both. You can't just have a bunch of lenders doing more loans than ever before if the back office can't keep up, if they have to rely on spreadsheets. So you have to have
Right.
both the front office and the back office. And we believe now, and we're seeing that more and more loans are happening smaller, not just bigger. So we believe if we take we're taking a page out of Uber's book where if you reduce friction and improve the experience, then you can encourage thousands of times more loan trades a year than ever before.
Yeah, interesting. That makes a lot of sense. So, what advice do you give to people that are looking to do well, because there's a lot of like legal stuff that you need to do to go into the different states, and obviously building software that accommodates all these different conditions is a challenge. So how did you figure that out and sort all that out, and what advice do you give to people that are maybe looking to do something multi-state like this?
Yeah, so first, we're not broker dealers; we're a technology firm, and
Okay.
that's a dramatically different regulatory environment.
Right.
Broker dealers have to be registered. We do not, as a technology company. Our tech is just facilitating the transaction. So that's
Okay.
the biggest difference. So when we sign a client and they're in 3 states, then immediately we have transactions happening in 3 states. So it's that another example of network effect or the tag-along of Metcalfe's law.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So walk us through a little bit more of some other features and functionality of the platform. Like you said, can take, as quick as 15 minutes to get on. What does my 3 month, 6 month, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year look like in the platform?
Yeah. So first, it's cloud-based. We're SOC 2 audited. We're in AWS SOC 2 data centers. We undergo third-party web penetration tests. So first, security and scalability is always entry fee. It goes live in 1 hour. So it's not a big lift like a core conversion or a loan origination system conversion. We can have all the originating banks' legacy loans loaded in a day, 2 days max, which allows for the back office to benefit on deals that were never done with us. When a lender does do a new deal, they can load essentially the loan data and documents and publish it to whichever banks or non-banks they want to look at it. So they decide who it goes to. We don't decide. So the originator is in full control.
Okay.
They then decide, and they can do so via, in our system, clubs. So you build clubs, or we'll build clubs for you of like-minded buyers. So here's a club of CRE buyers that don't like construction loans, or here's CRE buyers that like construction but not hospitality, or here are
Okay.
clubs that want CNI loans, or ag loans, or franchise loans, or equipment finance loans, or high FICO consumer loans. So we do any loan type, commercial or consumer of any size. So you could put $1,000 loan on there today, or $100 million, or $400 million loan,
That's
and
cool.
break it up infinitely, automatically into many pieces. Once that's published to that one or many clubs, those folks on the downside are notified. They log into the system via their mobile phone or laptop. They see the details, and if they want to see the full loan package, then they have to sign integrated electronic NDA and non-circumvent, which now allows the prospective buyers to see who the borrower is, see the documents. Until that point of signing the NDA and non-circumvent, they can't see the docs or data, which keeps the originator safe from the buyers potentially going around to the borrower directly. Once all that happens, then the buyer evaluate the loan, typically take it to underwriting or loan committee. They come back, they subscribe through our system, telling how much they want to participate in. Once that's accepted by the originator, then we do all the legal master participation agreements in the software with e-signature, and then it's closed. Once it's closed, instantaneously, seconds later, the loan ops team at the originating bank gets the back office value, and they can do a funding request from the downstream buyers to fund that original advance to the borrower or whatnot. And then all the back office stuff happens, all the automated notifications and balances and transaction history and all the stuff we talked about.
Okay. Very cool. So you mentioned you sold a product. What advice do you give to people that are going through that, or what did you wish knew now that you're on the other side of that?
Oh boy. I'm not sure how revolutionary this advice is going to be, but starting companies is hard.
Yep.
Bootstrapping is even harder, but
Yep.
very rewarding. If you can bootstrap, one piece of advice, do it. If you're in a position to not have a very expensive cost of living personally, or if you have saved money up and you can get away with bootstrapping, then you definitely are going to be better off if you're successful by retaining equity. So that's probably number one, is if you can bootstrap, do so. Number two, product market fit. Is it just a great idea you have, or can you vet it really quickly before investing a lot of money? So answer, the question, who cares? Who cares about your product enough to pay for it? Third, really smart guy here in Dallas gave me some great advice when I asked him his business advice, and he said, get in front of an avalanche. So look for industries that if you get in front of, will sweep you up and carry you forward, whatever that may be. So things like that. And then on the sell side, when we were selling, we did have an investment banker. They did get many people looking at it. We were very happy with our partner at Abrigo, and really have just completed our transition as of the end of 2023. So that's the last piece of advice, is really try to have consistent, good dialogue throughout the process of not just selling, but when you've sold, supporting that buying entity, having a good relationship with them, because you never know if you're going to do business with them in the future. And I think that applies for the buying entity, not just us as the seller. So outside of that, probably longer conversation over a beer or coffee or something.
Fair enough. How did you come up with the idea for Participate and then validate that idea then?
Yeah, so Mike Montgomery, who's our founder, chairman, and CEO, longtime banker, he's on a bank board. His grandfather was heavily involved in banking and advisory for the Federal Reserve out of Boise. His dad started 3 banks in Idaho and Utah and sold them.
Oh, wow.
So, heavyweight community banking family. He's on the board of Southern Bank Corp, which is one of the original community development financial institutions started by then Governor Clinton and the Walton family. And so he has a good pulse on what's going on, not just today, but historically. And he always bemoaned the lack of speed and flexibility that banks had to adjust their balance sheet. What if you have to sell off 300 or 400 million of CRE? Do you have an automated process and a network of buyers to go to in minutes, not use spreadsheets and smiling for dollars? Likewise, if you're a bank that only does commercial real estate loans, that's really a risk for you, because it highly concentrates you in one loan class where you really should be diversifying. But if you're a CRE bank, CRE lenders don't know a lot of C&I borrowers. So we needed a way, and he had the vision, not only to make a spreadsheet-based process more efficient, but also to provide alternative capital stacks and allow for educational components to help banks that really should have other loan types but don't have the lending skill set or the credit skill set or the ops skill set of that loan type, to be able to buy into those loans easily and with high quality.
Interesting. Yeah, you actually said something that's actually really interesting that I think people don't really think about, and is like, if you can automate something as simple as like a spreadsheet process, some of those industries are billions of dollars. And like, it's interesting because I'm working on a product right now that is doing that in the dental space, which could easily be applied to the eye care space and like a bunch of other medical spaces. But when you think about it, you're just like, well, they just use spreadsheets. We'll just but if you actually you look way back and you look kind of high level at it, it's like, well, what is the spreadsheet really doing? And if you can automate that and you can save people tens of thousands a month, and you charge them hundreds or a few $1,000s a month for that, it's a no-brainer, right? And it's kind of like that avalanche that you're talking about. And I think some people don't think about things like that. They're like, I need to build the next sexiest app. It's like, well, sure, maybe, but that's really challenging. But if you can really automate or really speed up a process that's very manual in like a simple piece of software, well, I guess spreadsheets can be very complicated, but I think you know where I'm going there. It's like, that's potentially where a lot of the big money is, right? And actually getting acquired.
Yep. Yeah. And the other back to that other piece of advice is build a company to last, build a
For sure.
company that can be profitable and scale. And you may never be profitable to a certain extent on purpose. If you see your operating metrics, your key performance indicators growing, whether it's demos that have a conversion rate to sales, or whether it's number of loans transacted on our platform, as long as you're seeing the growth,
Yeah.
it's okay to keep spending money, but only as long as you feel like you can turn off the spigot at some point and turn to profitability to be in control of your own destiny. And obviously, that doesn't happen in a couple of years. It takes generally 7 to 10 years to build a company that is qualified to sell or keep and cash flow in a meaningful way. So, it's a journey.
No, fair enough. How did you start making relationships with the companies that you potentially wanted to buy the product?
Yeah, we were in discussions with Abrigo about a potential partnership.
Okay.
Um, in addition to them, we were talking to various others, in some cases, potential competitors. We were talking to investment groups, private equity firms. So it was it was building relationships over time. A lot of these folks call us. We get called by private equity and venture capital quite a bit. So that's with regard to the past. Going forward with this new company, Participate, Jam FinTop are great partners. They're our minority partners, and they're way more than just capital.
Okay.
We talk to them almost every day. They're making introductions to their limited partners, or they're making introductions to potential hires. We hired, I think, one person just recently that they introduced. So likewise, those folks get called on a lot by larger private equity firms that want to do recapitalizations. They're developing relationships with strategics. I think Fiserv is one of their limited partners. Q2 is one of their limited partners. So big industry players. So I think what we'll see is, a lot of interest from our own relationships that we developed, a lot of relationships that will come out of Jam FinTop. And then I think there'll be always those new folks that reach out to us that we hadn't really thought of in a serious way, that like our story and feel like, combined we would be better.
Okay, makes sense. So you bootstrapped a company, you took on an investment partner for Participate. What were the pros and cons, and what made you didn't bootstrap Participate?
Yeah, no, great question. So Construct, we bootstrapped, and if you looked at our burn rate per month back then, I thought it was a ton. We didn't pay ourselves much, and writing capital call checks, and that's always a nervous time, especially when you have to explain this to your wife, right?
Yeah,
But
fair.
the what we realized on Construct is maybe we moved a little too slow. Maybe we should have invested more, whether that was our own money or taking outside capital. When it came to Participate, we had that experience and that history, both good and what could we have done faster or better, always being introspective. But Participate itself is a completely different animal, because of the network effect, because of how fast this can go, because it doesn't have to be just loans. It could be debt. It could be deposits. Because it doesn't have to be just the United States. It can be, international. We realized that this was just a much bigger opportunity, and that we were going to need some help to grow it to the level of success that we believe we can, and that the industry deserves, and that our team members deserve. So we realized that it was time. And incidentally, Jam FinTop had called us. They had heard about Construct and had heard about Participate. They wanted to get into this space. They had researched some of our early competitors. And so it was just really perfect timing. We were thinking we probably needed a good partner. And at the same time, they reached out to us because they wanted to be in this space. So good timing.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. It is interesting if you can get either your first clients or a partner to help you build this thing, whether they put in cash or not, but if they can help even just in the connection space or beta testing or being one of the first users, that is almost like more valuable than the cash in a lot of cases, right?
Absolutely. You nailed it. The concept of pre-selling, I mentioned product market fit when you asked, what nuggets of advice or whatever would I have. Pre-selling is really what I was trying to say there, which is what you were just saying. before you get too far in a product, really you could be in prototype, build a prototype in a week, right? You should be sharing that prototype with your friendly prospective clients and ask them, is this enough for you to pay for? And if not, what are the three things? And I always say three things because you don't want to let clients go nuts
Yeah. And we
because they
will.
may or may not have the right vision for the industry because they've been doing the
Right.
same thing they've always done, right? So, pre-sell a prospective couple clients, get them to pay something, even if it's $500 a month. It doesn't matter as long as they're willing to pay for it and go through the purchase process and send you an ACH. Then that's gold.
So how do you manage your product roadmap with some of that feedback? And obviously you have clients of different sizes, and some of the bigger ones might even offer to pay you to add some features. How do you manage that roadmap with feature requests?
Yeah. So in a new white space product like Participate, it's very new in terms
Right.
of front office, back office, cloud, as well as capital stacks. These clubs we're creating of new capital. It's very new. There's very little out there, and almost all the banks, including the big boys, do this on spreadsheets or legacy technology that only does a part, and then they have to use spreadsheets for the rest. Um, Depending upon whether you're talking front or back. So when you're in an environment like ours and Participate, you have to really drive the vision for the product. You have to
Right.
drive 80% of the architecture and the feature functionality. So with the remaining 20% roughly coming from our clients that may have requests. So we get requests all the time, advice from our clients, which is gold. We love that. We love our clients. We want more and more requests from them. And then our product team, they take all these different requests, whether it's from clients or our customer success team or our sales team or our marketing folks or our engineering team, and they build basically business requirements, user stories. We follow an agile method of development, constantly pushing out code. Our head of engineering always gets what he wants when it comes to infrastructure, scalability, security. That's always entry fee. So that's always part of our product roadmap. And, our head of product and his team just takes all that input from all of our stakeholder leads, and we figure out what is going to add the most value. Generally, I always apply, security and scalability number one. After that, that's implied. The number one is revenue. Does this generate more revenue? Is this a module that can generate more revenue from our installed client base? Or is this a set of features, functions that would allow us to price our product more? So revenue is always number one. Number two is efficiency. Would allow us to drive efficiency and thereby win more and more clients with a more demonstrable return on investment. And then third is kind of like a mystery. It's always a little different. And it could vary by product, but revenue and efficiency are always, one and two with after the entry fee stuff.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm curious, because a lot of people, you said, have been doing this in spreadsheets and kind of maybe some older technology. How do you get them to actually switch and use this modern way of doing things? Because that can be really, really challenging. Like, because everybody's like, well, this is quicker and faster. Everybody's just going to use it. And it's like, maybe, but sometimes that can take a lot of, coaching and to get them to actually switch and see the value. So how have you managed that?
Yeah, not easy. So change is hard. Getting people to change is hard, as everybody knows, especially in banking. Bankers are known to be even more change resistant than other industries. So the way I look at the world is it's like being a little bat flying around a cave. You're looking for
Okay.
resonance, right? So I'm flying around the cave, messaging, pinging prospective clients when we're first coming out with a new product. Hey, this is going to make you more efficient. It's going to allow you to do more loans. And early on, we got good resonance, pings back on efficiency. But what we learned was with our lending message, we scared some of the loan syndications leaders and lenders that thought,
Okay.
oh gosh, this is going to disaggregate me. This is a marketplace where it doesn't need me as a human lender. And that's not the case
Interesting.
whatsoever.
Right.
But when we pinged and we got residents back, that message wasn't being delivered the way we intended, or it wasn't being received the way we intended. So we, like a good bat, when you see, resistance and resonance, you adjust your message a little bit. So we kept going with the efficiency on the back office, and we made more of a play on efficiency on the front office and said, hey, Mr. Loan Syndications guy or gal, now you can do 10 times more loans and make 10 times more profit for the bank and 3 times more profit for you and your team in terms of incentive comp for doing more loans, bigger loan book, more non-interest fee income. So in terms of getting the industry to change, it's having a great vision, it's having a valid product market fit, but be a little bat, fly around the cave, ping and look for resonance and adjust as fast as you can.
Yeah, you actually touched on something that's actually really important, is if you can prove to them that they can make more money, the chances of them trying it and adopting it are going to be a lot higher than just saying, well, it speeds up your job, right? Like, sure, that's a byproduct of that. But let's be honest. Most people are like, if you can make me more money, I'm interested right away, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we focus on the institution and the individual. So we have a return on investment calculator that shows for every about 50 million of loans that you sell off, you make about 2.4 million in additional income for the bank or credit union.
Right.
And if you apply your own incentive comp metric, Sally or Jimmy, of what you as a lead lender get in terms of your incentive comp on your loan book you originate, then you're looking at this type of comp increase for you and your team. So we try to apply it at the institutional level and the individual level of compensation.
Smart. Interesting. So you touched on something throughout our conversation so far about security and scalability, which I think is arguably just as important. But how do you actually practice that? Because security is becoming very, very important, especially in certain industries, but I think for everybody. So how do you make sure that's a focus and that you don't kind of sidestep that just to rush out a feature or something? Because that can be really challenging in itself.
Yeah. So culture, setting a consistent culture of how important security is, especially in banking, having the right leadership, being consistent in our messaging with that leadership. So our head of engineering and our chief technology officer and our head of DevOps and our head of product and our chief architect. So all those are individual guys and gals on our team. And being consistent in our support of their leadership towards building a highly secure environment, technically, but also a culture. Being paranoid, there's always going to be somebody better, faster, stronger out there pinging away. We got like 23,000 hack attempts, I think, penetration attempts last month alone.
Oh, wow.
So, we have to be on our toes. We build most of our own stuff. We almost never use, we've never used open source outside of, a web server type of deal. So we try to build as much as we can to control our environments. We're very wary of third-party APIs or middleware APIs because of our reliance on them to be defending against many hack attempts that could get to many endpoints. Third-party web penetration tests, we voluntarily do those. It's not required, but certainly we think it makes sense to have our own teams testing themselves through third parties. So we have a great third-party web penetration firm that tests us. SOC 2 audits. Again, we sign up for our own SOC 2 audits, not just out of the data center, yada, yada, yada. So culture, leadership, consistent support for that leadership to really execute and test constantly.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually really good advice because, like it's interesting, especially at early stages in a startup. Security can be like one of the last things on people's mind, where in a lot of cases it should almost be the first thing in certain cases.
Yeah, no, look, building something from scratch is not easy. And there's scope, schedule, and resources. Pick two, you can't get all three. So what's most important to you when you start a company, you grow a company, or you have a mature company with regard to new products? You can choose scope to be the most important and schedule to be second and resources third, or you can choose resources, scope, and schedule. But inevitably, you can't have all three at the same time. So you have to decide: is it speed to market that you want? Is it you only have two developers or an architect and a developer, or you have lots of resources and schedule's most important? Then maybe scope gets trimmed down. So we're constantly balancing those.
Sure. The one thing, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on, is just because you throw more designers, developers, people at a problem doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be rolling out software and features a lot quicker. Has that been your experience, or what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, it's true a lot of the time, and some of the times more resources do make sense. So if you look at our technology, it's core architecture, you have feature functions, we have a lot of integration to loan origination systems and core banking systems. We have the opportunity to build out new revenue generating modules. So completely not completely, very, very self-contained modules that still have to interact with the mothership, but can be done as a little bit more isolated. But yes, for sure, there is a limit to how effective you can be. If you're talking about a set of features or functions, I mean, you can only get so many things done with a bigger team. It gets in the way after a while.
No, that makes a lot of sense. But Matt, we're kind of coming to the end of the show. So how about we close with mentioning where people can get more information about yourself, participate, and any other links you want to mention?
Yeah, absolutely. So participate, you can learn more at participateloan.com. That's participateloan.com. And that is the latest innovation from Bank Labs, which you can learn more at banklabs.com. And if you want to reach out to me directly, feel free. My mobile is 214-208-0436, 214-208-0436. My email is matt.johnner, JOHNNER, at banklabs.com, matt.johnner at banklabs.com.
Perfect, Matt. Well, again, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be on the show, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you, and have a good rest of your day.
Great to see you again, Kevin. Really appreciate it.
You as well. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening. Please visit our website at buildingthefutureshow.com to join the free community, sign up for our newsletter, or to sponsor the show. The music is done by Electric Mantra. You can check him out at electricmantra.com and keep building the future.